Good afternoon and welcome everybody to Somerset North Planning Committee. I'm Councillor Kathy Pearce, Chair of the committee, and to my right is Matt Martin, Vice Chair. A few housekeeping things. If the alarm goes, we're not expecting a drill, so we head quickly out of the double doors into reception and then out to King's Square. There are toilets in reception should anyone need them, and also there is water on the table to your right. So please feel free to help yourselves if you need some. So this meeting is a hybrid meeting, and that means that committee members are present in Bridgewater House, and the meeting is also available online via Teams. Please note that the meeting is being recorded, and can I remind all of those in the room to turn your mobiles off or to silent. And for those joining us online, can you please turn off your cameras and microphones so that the meeting isn't disturbed. I'll now introduce those taking part in the committee today. To my left is, well, one officer today from Democratic Teams, and to my right are the planning officers who will present the applications. We also have online Paula Goddard, our legal advisor officer, and Peter Hobley, rights of way for our second and third applications. On the wings of the table are the councillors who will debate and decide the applications. The format will be as per the published agenda, and a copy of the officer reports can be found on the council website. Each application will be taken in turn. Officers will outline each application, followed by public speaking time. Only members of the public who have registered to speak can make representation, and councillors around the table will then debate and decide each application. During the debate, there will be a proposer and a seconder for a resolution. Members will vote on the proposal. Only members who have been present throughout the whole application will be able to vote. And the voting options are for, against, abstain and defer. Votes will be counted and the results announced. So now we'll go to the main agenda. And first, can I have apologies, please, John?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we have apologies from Councillor Slocum, Councillor Brian Holt, who's substituted by Councillor Buckledridge, and Councillor Bognall and Councillor Carruthers.
Thank you. We have the minutes from the previous meeting. Are they agreed as a true record? That's all in favour? Yeah. Thank you. We now go to declarations of interest. And Josh, would you just like to take us through the declarations of interest, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, of course. Councillors, please raise your hand if you have any declarations of interest to declare. Councillor Hendry.
Thank you. I sit on the Axborough Glenview board, but I've taken no part in any conversation. Thank you.
Councillor Bradford. Councillor Dedridge.
Yeah, I sit on the
Any other declaration of interest, please? Yeah.
Item 5. I was in the room when the initial conversation was taking place at the parish meeting, but I haven't taken an opinion at all. And what's the word? It's predetermined. Thank you. I'm not predetermined.
Any other declaration of interest from council in the room, please? Thank you. So for members of the public, you've now heard certain members of the committee make their declarations of interest. They must do this where they are twin-hatted members. That is when they are involved in members of IDP, parish or town council. These are involved in a consultation process, so may have already had some dealings with the application. If the member of the committee has not taken part in the discussions, or if they have previously but can come to this committee with an open mind and not have predetermined on the case, so they can take part in today's discussion, debate and vote. If they have declared interest or predetermination, they can only speak on the application at the appropriate time and will have to leave the room and cannot take part in the vote. Thank you.
Public question time. We do have members of the public who have registered to speak for agenda item 6 and 7. I will call you to the table when we are considering those applications. Thank you. So now we'll go straight to the first application of the day or the afternoon, which is for 10A Chapel Hill, Ashcott, Bridgewater, and that's on pages 19 to 26. And I think Jordan is taking us through this presentation.
Yep, afternoon all. So this is application 01/24/22, erection of a single story extension and installation for the dormer to the east elevation at 10A Chapel Hill. The reason this is a committee is that officer recommendation is contrary to parish objection. So these are the relevant policies, policy D2, as well as national legislation that apply to the application of the general permitted development order. As you can see here, this is an aerial of the street scene. The property is this little property. Is this little property here? It's quite a slightly higher gradient compared to the other properties surrounding it, slightly lower than this property here. And as you can see on this block plan here, the location of the property in relation to the surrounding dwellings. This is the existing and proposed site plan. So on the left is the existing and on the right is the proposed dormer highlighted in black, and then the outline of the single story rear extension. So these are the existing elevations of the dwelling. As you can see, it's a semi-detached bungalow. And this section here is number 2 High View Drive, which is attached to, but it's slightly set back in a lower elevation to the bungalow. These are the proposed elevations. As you can see, this is the proposed dormer and then the single story rear extension to the property. This is an amendment to what was originally proposed. Originally, the exterior materials were black in colour, so we requested a change in external materials to match the existing dwelling. So the dormer will be like a grey cladded exterior, and the extension will be that to match the rest of the dwelling. This is a view from the rear of the property. As you can see, that relationship between 2 High View Drive on your right here, and then at a lower level, 10A Chapel Hill. Again, seeing that relationship between the two. This is looking to the east. As you can see, there's already an example of the dormer within the street scene. There are other dormers surrounding on other properties as well. And then this is a view from the front of the property. So the extension doesn't project past any of this. It just kind of fills in this little gap here. So these are the relevant policies. So visual amenity wise, the proposed development is an acceptable design and appearance that respects the main dwelling. As mentioned already, there are examples of rear dormers on the surrounding dwellings, and again, there was a change from the original scheme from black cladding scheme to one that respects the dwelling. The parish council are objecting on grounds of overdevelopment. However, elements can be considered under can be done under permitted development rights of the dwelling. In terms of residential amenity, 2 High View Drive is immediately to the north. 6 High View Drive, which is what the dwellings you saw with the dormer, is 24 meters to the east, and 21 High Street is 14 meters to the south. So there's no overbearing impact seen from the proposed dormer. As mentioned, this can be done under permitted development rights. So the agent has supplied a comparison of what can be done under permitted development rights, which is seen on your left. So this is the proposed elevations here. The proposed dormers can be done under permitted development rights, and if the extension was not considered a wraparound extension, so it goes over past the full length of the edge of the existing dwelling, it would be allowed under Class A of the General Permitted Development Order, because it is approximately 3.5 meters by 3.6. You're allowed about 4 meters either way. So the recommendation is to grant permission, as whilst the garden is on a small plot, the proposed development is in accordance with adopted local and national legislation.
Thank you, Jordan. There are no speakers for this application, so open it straight away for questions, debate, proposals. Councillor Hendry.
Thank you, Chair. I've got no idea why anybody would object to this, not the council otherwise. I just cannot see that at all. I've no idea. Perfectly acceptable, complies with everything, and I just do not know why somebody complained against it. So straight away, I'd like to move the recommendation to grant permission. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bradford.
I reflect Councillor Hendry's views. I don't know why everybody would object, really, and no, and I'd have no second is seconded it.
If there's no further debate, we've got a proposer and a seconder to grant approval as per the officer's recommendation. All those in favour, please show. And that's unanimous. Oh no, sorry, I'm so sorry. Can you do the count, please? Oh.
Please. 9.
So yeah, so that's 9 for, none against and 1 abstention. So that is carried. Thank you.
That's closing.
That's yeah. So
7.
we'll go straight on then to agenda item 6, and that's the application for land to the south of Biscuit Cottages, Somerset Bridge. And Liam has taken us through these next 2 applications.
Which one have we done? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So we have 2 applications, both of which will be fairly similar. So there are 2 presentations, but they are effectively showing you the relatively the same stuff in terms of this location of the site and the proposal. So we'll go with the application ending in 20 to start with. So the application is for the erection of a single dwelling located to the south of Biscuit Cottages, which is accessed off Somerset Bridge and Bridgewater. So it's an aerial view of the existing site. So we have the terrace of properties, residential dwellings here. We have another property here, and another terrace of dwellings along here and further to the northwest there. Also have a fishery business located in this area here. So all these sites are located off of Somerset Bridge, and what we're looking at is an application to erect a new dwelling to the south of the existing terrace. Hasn't come out very well, but in terms of the application site itself, you've got a terrace of 4 dwellings with a shared access coming off of Somerset Bridge here, and it's proposed to put a single detached dwelling to the south of number 4 there. This is the site blown up a little bit more clearly, so you can see there will be a sort of 2-story gable projection to the front of the dwelling with parking located to the front. And a rear garden here. So it will be of similar layout and form to the existing properties that are there at the moment in terms of the site layout. This is the proposed elevations and floor plans of the proposed dwelling. So this is the 2-story gable projection on the front elevation. This is the south elevation. And this is the rear. Now, due to the proximity of the site to the motorway, the majority of the living spaces within the property have been located on the west side of the property. So you have the secondary accommodation such as bathrooms and staircases located on the east side, overlooking the rear of the dwelling, to keep those living spaces away from what could potentially be a source of noise. The application has been accompanied by a noise assessment, which has recommended these measures to avoid any detrimental impact on the amenities of future occupants, and the council's environmental health team have no objection to this approach. So that's the reason for the layout in terms of the accommodation being located more on the front than west side of the property. But overall, it's considered the design scale materials ready to be constructing of the dwelling will be acceptable given its context and the character of the surrounding area. So these are photographs taken from the front of the site. So as you can see, there's an existing parking area for the existing property number 4 located on the left here, and the new dwelling will slot inside this area here with the parking extended to the front here to provide off-road parking. The site itself will be accessed by the shared access which serves the existing properties in this terrace here. And as you can see, it's predominantly a replication of what's already gone before in terms of the location of parking areas with the residential amenity space in the rear. So in terms of the issues that have been raised during the course of the application, the majority of those have been covered by further information and working with the agent and applicant on addressing each of the concerns. So issues such as flood risk and ecology, which were concerns raised by the statutory consultees during the course of the application, have now been addressed through the submission of further information. And it is considered in terms of the impact on residential amenity, given the location of the dwelling, which would be to the south of the existing terrace, there would be no significant impact through overlooking, overshadowing or visual domination. In terms of the main issue that's been brought the application to members today is the proposed access, which will be shared from the existing access along the south of the River Parrett and known as Somerset Bridge. So as you can see, the existing access itself isn't in the greatest shape in terms of its condition. And it is also home to an existing public right of way with concerns raised by the public rights of way team. There should be a correction within the report. Within the consultee section, you will notice that the public rights of way team have raised concerns as part of the statutory consultation that took place. Rather than being read as comments, that should read as an objection, which the rights of way team have set out within the supporting text that accompanies that section of the report. However, in respect of the impact on the right of way and the highway, from a planning officer's point of view, it's not considered there be such a significant impact that would warrant refusal, based on the fact that the existing access is currently used for a number of dwellings, 15 I've counted along Somerset Bridge, and also the fishery business, which is located on the left-hand side here with the access coming out onto Somerset Bridge itself. So in terms of the proportion of increase in vehicular movements along the access to the dwelling that's being proposed now, it's not considered there'll be a significant increase in vehicle movements that will be prejudicial to highway safety or the safety of users of the public right of way. So if we just go along the access again, you can see that while there is a narrowness to the existing access, this would naturally result in vehicles travelling at a slow speed and enable forward visibility to be observed through both pedestrians and vehicle owners, users, sorry. And it just gives you an indication of the numerous access points that are already onto Somerset Bridge at the moment. And it's not considered the provision of one dwelling, or if we jump ahead to the second application, 2 dwellings, would result in a significant impact. So in terms of summary, it's considered the location, given the site is within the development boundaries of Bridgwater, the site is suitable for a modest infill development, such as the proposed dwelling we have in front of us today. There are no issues with the design and scale of the dwelling, and the issues relating to flood risk, ecology and residential amenity will be addressed through the design and the submission of further information. It's not considered there's a significant impact, well, there would be a significant impact on the amenity, on the accessibility or the safety of Somerset Bridge, given the modest scale and the modest increase in vehicle movements that would take place as a result of the development. While the condition of the road is noted, the ownership and maintenance of this, the maintenance responsibilities of this falls under a civil matter and cannot be controlled through the granting or refusing of this planning application. However, the recommendation is to grant consent, subject to the conditions at the end of the report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Liam. We have 4 speakers on this application, and I'd like to ask Ian Henbury to come to the table, please, who is objecting. Mr. Henbury, you have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll set the timer as soon as you're ready to start.
I draw your attention to my letter of objection. These applications that are considerable over development of the city will
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm brief. The,
Can we start again? Aaron.
sorry about that. If you just hold on a moment, we'll reset the time. Do apologise, right, we're ready to go now.
I draw your attention to my letter of objection. The applications are considerable overdevelopment of the semi-rural area and will severely affect the character of the area and damage the existing rich wildlife habitat. There have been no consultations held with the owners of properties directly affected by these applications. The single track access lane to Somerset Bridge is unadopted with no documented ownership or responsibility for upkeep and repair. It is in extremely poor condition and has limited vehicle accessibility due to the low rail bridge. The alternative access route to the east and over the railway level crossing the canal is subject to undocumented consent by Network Rail, the owners of farmland and the highways agency. This route, including the section of lane adjacent to the east block, must always remain unobstructed as it is the only access route for emergency vehicles to the wider area of Somerset Bridge. There is already limited current parking provision at Somerset Bridge for visitors and usually in utility vehicles and emergency response vehicles without including safe shared vehicle and pedestrian access. The shared access to the proposed buildings in the south lies in the property ownership of each individual householder and is for light vehicle access only and unsuitable for large construction vehicles. There's no documented provision for safe access methods during construction, no proposed mitigations for damage to property caused during construction, and no space for safe storage of building materials or contractors vehicles to turn around or park. As residents for many years, we can attest the area proposed development is a rich habitat for water voles, newts, slow rivers, settled warblers, reed warblers, etc., as well as bats and badgers and foxes. The application still lacks detail on the landscape and mitigation which are undertaken as required by the county ecologically. There are no detailed arrangements for sewage and drainage for proposed additional dwelling, nor has there been any consultations with residents on alterations to arrangements for existing dwellings which currently share a single septic tank. There have been no consultations over the laying of utilities or power lines which may need to cross mine or adjacent properties, or agreed mitigations for destruction to installation. What lies on the route of the once proposed Bridgewater East circulatory route, which was included in the Bridgewater area local plan, which may be reconsidered in light of the housing development on the north side of the river at Dunware. I urge rejection of the application or deferral of any decision till the above issues have been addressed, mitigations detailed, and proper consultations held with the affected of their occupation.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you. Just remember that we should have asked Councillor Bradford to leave. Sorry, Howard, you'll need to leave the table because you're predetermined in your comments.
Can I come back and speak or not?
No, well, yes. Okay. Yes, you hadn't registered to speak before, but
No,
I
I
will.
expect I had to speak. I don't keep your mouth shut, but I felt a bit strong about this. Some of the things we were crying about, I thought it's time to speak.
Okay, yeah, I'll allow you to speak, but you will need to leave the table.
But I'll
No.
go outside now.
You can sit.
Anderson, okay.
Okay, so now I'd like to call Ivan Sell, who
planning agent, and I sent an email to Democratic Service only about 2 hours before this meeting. Unfortunately, that's going to hospital for the event.
Oh dear.
And I didn't want to ask for a statement for obvious reasons. So
No.
sorry about confusion.
No, okay, no, that's fine. Thank you for letting us know. So then we'll go straight on to Peter Wakeling, who has registered to speak. Would you like to come to the table?
Hi.
Hi there, you've got 3 minutes to say what you'd like to say. Just let us know when you'd like to start. We'll set the timer. Thank you.
Just to say that I haven't got, I'm Pete from Summer Hayes Fisheries, and I can't see any objection for Rob to do this. We'll share the same track, and I'd support him. Yeah. That's it, really.
Right, is that what you'd like to say? Right,
Yeah.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I should have said before, the points that you've raised, Mr. Henry, we will take when all the speakers have spoken, we'll to address those. Thank you. So we'll now go on to Rebecca Randall, who of Polden Planning, please. So 3 minutes when you're ready to start.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Rebecca Randall. I'm the planning agent for this application and for the next one. I'm here with the applicant Rob Kell in the white shirt over there. Rob has lived within about 3 miles of the application site for his whole life, so very much local, and intends to build out the properties himself. You're all obviously aware of the need for new homes. I can't sit here today and say that the approval of 1 or 2 dwellings is going to change the world. But I did want to sort of point out today, because I think it's really important that year upon year, particularly in the previous Sedgemoor area, you know, the approval and delivery of small sites just like these have delivered around a third of the 5-year housing land supply. So they're just, I think, as important as the strategic sites. And I think the ongoing approval of small sites within the settlement boundary, like this one, in pockets of undeveloped land, surrounded by housing and without planning harm, again, just like this one, is really important for maintaining a plan-led system. We have the town council support, we have support from neighbours, we only have the 1 objection, which you have heard from today. And this is bearing in mind, as Liam has said, there's 15 properties and a fisheries all served off of Somerset Bridge, which is the principal reason for bringing this application, the only reason for bringing this application to this committee. And I think that this local support is really testament to the fact that residents are relatively happy that this would tidy up what is currently an untidy site, and it would deliver appropriate and small scale development that really is not going to cause anybody any issues. And I would also like to point out, because I'm not sure if it's in the documentation, that the foul drainage is to go off of a packaged treatment plant, and we're also planning to upgrade the septic tank that serves properties 1 to 4 on Bidsgood cottages, because 2 of them are owned by the applicant and they all go into septic tank at the moment. So that's the benefit of the environment, and obviously, you know, from a practical perspective, the occupiers as well. And I suppose it goes without saying, but just to say that we agree with both the planning officers and the highways officers' assessment, in that there wouldn't be a significant increased impact on Somerset Bridge and highway safety from this application. And we do note, obviously, the no objection from highways officers on that basis. So I really hope you can support our applications today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call Councillor Bradford to the table, please. I just, they have been given legal advice that I can use my discretion to allow you to speak, which I'm doing, as you have indicated your intention within the paperwork. So, Councillor Bradford, let us know when you're ready to start, and you'll have your 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It won't take me 3 minutes. It'll make a change, and I'm going to keep it quite brief. And we've heard some of the arguments already. I think the reason it's here today is on highways and access matter. That's why it was brought before committee. And you've heard the track, which is no problem for overtaking, etc., etc. And the chap who runs a business there got no problem with access either. It complies with D24, D25, a certain local plan. It was well supported by North Petherton Town Council. And really, if we turn things like this down and there's no help, it's going to bring new life to that little area town. And by the way, it is in North Petherton, not Bridgewater. It's on the borderline again, but North Petherton Town Council decided it, and they had no objections at all to it. And when I've got a little bit of local opposition, and I felt I had to speak in support of the applicant. That's all I'm going to say. Have I got to come back again to the second one?
If you wish to speak again, I'll.
If you want to hear me say exactly the same things again, that's all
There
right.
doesn't be much point, does there? Your prerogative if you wish to, but I do need to ask you to leave the room now.
Certainly will.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. We will call you back when we've made that decision. Right, thank you. Okay. Liam, would you like to pick up some of the points made by Mr. Hendry, please? It's chiefly around access concerns.
Yes, the response that we received during the course of the application, the objection that's laid out in the representation section of the report, I think covers some of those points that were raised. As I've said before, the access issues in terms of the ownership and ongoing maintenance fall outside of what we can consider within this current application. We do have statutory declarations from the applicants and a number of other residents along Somerset Bridge who have confirmed that they have an all-purpose vehicle right of access over over Somerset Bridge, but none have actually confirmed ownership in terms of those issues, in terms of the condition of the road. The agents obviously commented on the sewage and septic tank upgrades that will be carried out as a result of the development, so that's been covered. In terms of the habitats, landscaping, etc., we do have a number of conditions within the report and part of the recommendation that would lead to some enhancements for biodiversity as a result of this development. In terms of overdevelopment, I think from the plan that we've got submitted as part of the application, if we take a look at the wider context of the area, the site itself is large enough to accommodate the dwelling as proposed, with both parking to the front and a garden to the rear. So I think that's testament to the fact that the application site is large enough to accommodate a new dwelling without having a significant impact on the character and amenity values of the surrounding areas. So in terms of development, I don't think we would see that happening within this current application. I think there was a reference to a policy regarding a circulatory route around Bridgewater. Again, that is laid out in the comments within the report, but that did form part of the old Sedgemoor local plan, which has been superseded twice over since that was adopted. So that policy no longer has any weight. But obviously, if the new local plan that comes into effect does introduce that policy or something similar, then obviously we would cross that bridge when we come to it, no pun intended. So I think in terms of the construction of the dwelling, if approved, the applicants, I believe, are aware of the limitations of the existing access over Somerset Bridge, and would obviously gear the development towards more smaller vehicles and ensuring that the damage that's caused would be reduced as opposed to, you know, larger vehicles, which you normally see with the volume house builders and with the more strategic sites. Obviously, we're looking at a fairly small scale development being proposed here, and it's considered that the impacts, albeit for a temporary period of time, would be limited. You know, the site itself is large enough to accommodate those works that over the course of the time that they'd be required to construct the property. I believe that's it from my list anyway.
Thank you. Before I open it up to questions, can you just clarify the actual routes in and out for the proposed property, please? Because I think I glimpsed the photo you had of the bridge, but it'd be just useful to be reminded of exactly the route that people would take to access the house.
So we go back, so this is the road that has come off of, or is connected to the more recently constructed Swibbers Way. So this would be the access route off of the public highway. And then it will come under the bridge here, which admittedly is quite low and quite narrow. However, as I've said before, the actual access route itself is currently used by a number of properties already. So we do have, so this is the route taken. So, I mean, this is the entire route, but I've obviously just sort of, there will be a few jumps ahead, but this is basically the route that we would see. And this is a route looking back from the east to the west. So we've reversed there a little bit, but effectively this is, and this again east to west, this is west to east. So this is looking back towards the site itself. So this is the route that will be taken by future occupants of the dwelling, and then the access into here, down to the parking area here. And then you have, so the route we've basically taken is along Somerset Bridge here on the south side of the River Parrett into that there. So you've got a number of properties already using this access route in, as well as the fishery business down here with its access coming in here. And then obviously just off of there, off of the site, off the plan, you would have the access point going under the railway bridge and then joining with the public highway further to the west. But effectively what you have is the access route into the site coming along here.
Thank you very much for that. And can I just ask our rights of way officer online, please? I know, Liam, you did mention his comments during your presentation, but I just, for clarity, really, for my take, because I am slightly confused still. Because within the report, it says we have concerns about an increase in vehicle movements in terms of the health and safety of the public using the path, as well as an increased rate in surface deterioration. But then it's therefore we have no objection, and it just seems to contradict each other. So if Mr. Hobley is there online, if I'd just be grateful for his comments, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Hopefully you can all hear and see me. Yes?
Yes, we can. Yeah,
Good,
thank you.
good. Yes, I mean, we respond in the guise of the Highway Authority, and as a Highway Authority, we have a duty under Section 130 of the Highways Act to protect and assert the rights of the public to the use and enjoyment of highways. And this public footpath is a public highway. So highway law applies to it. So in that respect, any introduction of an increase in vehicular traffic to that shared use with private vehicular use is a concern, particularly as there's no segregation or separate footway for the walkers. So the no objection was subject to the applicant demonstrating that there was no net increase in vehicular movements over the public footpath. So we haven't had that satisfaction, and therefore we do object.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarity. Any other comments, questions? Then I would be looking for a recommendation. Yeah.
I appreciate the contribution from our last speaker, but I'm not sure that it seems to paint the applicant into a corner. To say that there would be no objection as long as there's no vehicular movements. There couldn't not be any vehicular movements. That would be unreasonable, I think. I understand the sentiment, but I think that might be a bit untoward. I just don't understand.
Councillor Hendry.
Thank you, Chair. Everything Matthew Martin said, I absolutely agree, totally 100%. The recommendation or the non-approval by the fellow on the screen just now is unreasonable. You cannot you cannot have no inter-vehicle movements. That's, in a word, silly. And I agree with everything you're saying there. You're totally right. And I don't think that what you're saying, yeah, with all due respect, I know the man knows what he's talking about, with all due respect, I cannot go along with everything 100% what he's saying. I just think that is unreasonable. And on the basis of that, everything else is okay. And the not so good points, if you want to look at that way, just don't stack up. Not 100% they don't. I can see there's a bit of an issue there, but it's not that much to actually stop the development. And if nobody else has anything much to say, I would actually go with the officer's recommendation to grant approval. Thank you.
Okay. We have a proposer to grant approval, councillor Hendry. That's been seconded by councillor Martin. There's been no further debate. Can I ask for all those in favour to please show? No, it's not. I haven't put my hand up. Abstention, yeah. Thank you, members. So that takes us on to the final application for this afternoon, and that is a second application so this is for the land to the east of Bisgood Cottages at Somerset Bridge. Liam, will you be taking us through the presentation, please?
No problem. So this presentation will be a little bit shorter because we've, I think, covered a lot of the issues that were already, well, covered a lot of issues in the first application. But effectively, what we've got is the second proposed dwelling to the east of Bisgood Cottages here, using the existing access to the north of number 1 to lead to a new dwelling here to provide garden parking, much like the first application we've just dealt with. So what we have here is the new dwelling located to the east. The separation distance between this and that is standard 20 metres. So there will be no overlooking window to window between this property and this property here. The design internally is the same in respect of the proposed living areas being located on the west side of the dwelling, with with the less used bathrooms and bathroom areas and staircases located on the east side, to avoid the issues of noise generated by the motorway. But in effect, the proposal is a replica of what we have down here, but just located to the east of the terrace. Again, you've got a similar arrangement. The site itself will be located to the rear of number 1 here. As you can see, it's an existing garden area belonging to number 1, which is quite large. But as the agents referred to on the previous application, is quite untidy at the moment. But through the additional information provided through the ecological assessments and the recommended conditions, there should be some biodiversity enhancements and mitigation taking place within this area. But in general, it doesn't contribute much in terms of visual amenity to the surrounding area, and the provision of a new dwelling here, again within the development boundaries, would be acceptable. And it's just a repeat of a couple of slides in the previous application in terms of the access route as well, which would be the same as the previous application. So in effect, we would be looking at a new dwelling located to the east of the terrace this time. Again, utilising the existing access. The principle of development is considered acceptable based on its location. The design scale will not have a negative impact on the surrounding area. And the additional information that we received during the course of this application also addressed the issues of flood risk and ecology and the impact on residential amenity. So based upon our previous presentation, previous discussions, it's considered that while there will be an increase in vehicle movements along the access route, that these would represent a small percentage increase in respect of the existing use of the access regarding the existing properties of the fishery business. And recommendation is once again to grant permission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Liam. Again, we have the same speakers registered to speak. Do you wish to come back and speak again?
Just a few words.
Okay, yes, Mr. Henry, come up to the microphone.
You have to press the button.
And if you press the button and speak into the microphone, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, I don't wish to repeat what I said on the comments for the last application. I do in fact have less objection to this, as it doesn't directly affect me. What I would say, if these plans are passed, I would ask the applicant to consult and we can agree on the best way to carry out construction without too much interruption.
Thank you, Mr Henbury. Mr Wakeling, would you wish to come back and speak again, or did the previous one cover both? All right, thank you. Rebecca Randall, would you like to? Yes.
Just to say that, yes, we would expect, I'm assuming it's on the list of conditions, a construction environmental management plan for this site. And absolutely, it is a residential area, so we do need to consult with residents and make sure they're aware, have a named site manager and contact details at our site. We do that for every site that we do. And I'd just like to say, because I don't normally get a very unusual circumstance, just because I can, and thank you for passing our last application.
Thank you. Members. What's the grant?
Thank you, Chairman. Don't have a problem with this application, the same as the last one. Happy to move recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hendry.
Sure you can tell I'm happy to say that.
All right, so we've got a recommendation to grant approval as per the officer's recommendation. All those in favour, please show. And that is unanimously passed. So thank you, members. That brings us to the end of the applications for the afternoon. We just have the appeal reports for note now. Thank you. And Gary, are you taking these?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Nothing really to speak to you about this time around in committee, because the appeals report is solely reporting that I think it's 3 appeals have been received since the last meeting, so no decisions from the planning inspectorate to report back on. So nothing further from me on this one, Chair.
Okay. Unless there are any comments from any members? Oh.
Apologies, this is a message to the members, just to say that the consultation period on the restructure has been extended by a week or so. Yeah. So if you haven't put in your queries yet, please hop online to the links that I sent around and make your notes as per spec. Thank you.
Thank you. So that brings us to the end of the meeting. So thank you everyone for your contributions and attendance, and I just wish you all a very happy Christmas and New Year break and look forward to seeing you in the new year.